All right, let's talk about sugar. We all know it, right? It's that sweet kick in our coffee, the little treat we give ourselves after dinner. But what if I told you that the real story of what sugar does once it's inside your body is, well, it's a hidden drama. It's this whole saga of mistaken identity, secret pathways, and a biological plot twist that is way more fascinating than most of us ever thought.
And that story, it starts with one single, massive number, 57 pounds. Just let that sink in for a minute. Picture a bag of dog food that heavy. What on earth could that possibly represent in our lives?
That's it. That is how much added sugar the average person is eating every single year. And listen, we're not talking about the natural sugar you'd find in an apple. No, this is the sugar that's hiding in plain sight. In your pasta sauce, your bread, your salad dressing. It's a truly staggering amount. And frankly, it's an overload our bodies were just never, ever designed to handle.
And that gets us right to the heart of our hidden sugar problem. See, the real issue isn't the occasional slice of birthday cake. It's the constant, invisible drip, drip, drip of sugar in our diets that has these enormous consequences for our health.
And this slide, wow, it really puts the scale of the problem into perspective. Back in 2019, there were 463 million adults living with diabetes. The projection for 2045, 700 million. Now, of course, sugar isn't the only thing to blame, but you can't ignore that this explosion is happening right alongside our increased consumption. So, to really get what's going on, we have to meet the two main characters in this whole story.
So let's get to know the two main players here, sucrose and fructose. You know, on the surface, they're both just sugar. But inside your body, oh, they lead very, very different lives.
On one side, you've got sucrose. That's your basic table sugar. Think of it like a little duo. It's made of two parts bonded together, one glucose molecule and one fructose molecule. Then, on the other side, you have fructose all by itself. We call it fruit sugar, but here's the catch. It's also the star ingredient in high fructose corn syrup, which, as we know, is pumped into tons of processed foods and drinks.
And this is where things get a little, well, sneaky. Food companies make it incredibly difficult to even know you're eating sugar. As this quote points out, sugar wears dozens of disguises on a nutrition label. But here's the secret decoder ring. If you see a word on an ingredient list that ends in O's, like dextrose or maltose, yep, that's just sugar trying to fly under the radar.
So you've eaten something sweet. Now what? This is where our story gets really interesting, because we're about to follow these two molecules on their surprisingly different journeys through your body. Okay, picture it like a metabolic roadway. When you eat sucrose, your body splits it apart into glucose and fructose. Now, glucose gets on the main highway. It zips into your bloodstream, your blood sugar goes up, and your pancreas sends out insulin to act like a key, letting that energy into all your cells. But fructose takes a completely different exit. It takes a quiet little detour that sends it straight to one place, your liver. And here is the absolute crucial difference. The liver processes fructose without any of the normal checks and balances that control glucose. It's like fructose has a VIP pass. It gets to bypass the body's entire energy regulation system. And because of that, when the liver gets overwhelmed with fructose, it does the only thing it can do. It starts rapidly converting it into triglycerides, which is just another name for fat. And that metabolic detour we just talked about? It isn't just a quirky biological fact. It has real, tangible consequences. So let's look at the fallout from these two different sugar paths, from serious clinical risks to the things that we feel day in and day out. The science on this is pretty stark. This constant, rapid conversion of fructose to fat in the liver can lead to something called hepatic steatosis, which we know better as fatty liver disease. Over time, that process contributes to insulin resistance, where your body's cells basically start putting their hands over their ears and ignoring insulin's call. This whole cascade is linked to a much higher risk of type 2 diabetes, serious complications down the road, and even cardiovascular disease. But okay, that's the scary, long-term stuff. What does this sugar roller coaster actually feel like? Well, this quote from someone on Reddit who cut out sugar just nails it. They talk about no more of those awful 3 p.m. energy crashes and how their cravings got weaker. And the science totally backs this up. When you get off the blood sugar spike and crash cycle, your energy levels finally get a chance to stabilize. So what happens when you actually break the cycle? It turns out the body has this incredible ability to reset itself, and the changes can be pretty dramatic, starting with the number you see on the scale. You hear stories like this all the time.
People who cut sugar often see significant and really fast weight loss, like this user who dropped 50 pounds. Now, a lot of that is fat loss over the long haul, but there's a fascinating reason for that initial whoosh, that quick drop.
It's a great question, right? If it's not all fat just melting away in that first week, what is it? Well, the answer is hiding inside a molecule you might not even think about. Let me introduce you to glycogen. Think of this as your body's personal, quick-access battery pack. When you eat carbohydrates, your body stores some of that glucose as glycogen in your muscles and your liver, keeping it ready for when you need a fast burst of fuel.
And here's the kicker. Glycogen is a thirsty, thirsty molecule. The research shows that for every single gram of glycogen you're storing, your body hangs on to at least 3 grams of water right along with it. So, when you cut back on sugar and carbs, your body starts burning through those glycogen stores for energy, and all of that water that was attached just gets released. That's the water weight that seems to vanish overnight.
But here's another amazing part of the body's reset, your sense of taste. This user, after ditching sugar, made a profound discovery on Halloween, and they did not mince words. The foods they used to love and crave suddenly tasted sickeningly, almost chemically sweet. Your taste buds literally adapt to a life with less intense sweetness.
So, after all of this, what's the big takeaway? I think it's about shifting our whole point of view, moving away from just avoiding bad foods and towards embracing a way of living that's actually sustainable and, honestly, a lot more enjoyable.
And if you want a blueprint for what that looks like, we can look at the work on the blue zones. These are regions around the world where people consistently live the longest, healthiest lives, and their lifestyle offers us this incredibly powerful model. What's so amazing is that people in blue zones don't go on diets. Being healthy is just a natural side effect of how they live. Their food is almost all whole and plant-based. They naturally steer clear of added sugars and processed junk. They also move naturally throughout the day, and they place huge value on community and having a sense of purpose. It's the whole package, not just a list of what to eat.
And that really leaves us with one last question for you. Now that you know the story, you know about the glucose highway and that fructose detour to the liver, take a second to think about your own day. Where might that 57 pounds be hiding for you? The first step isn't about changing everything at once. It's just about starting to look.